Happy Tuesday, Everyday Athlete Podcast Network listeners. And if you're listening to this on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, happy to you on those days as well. I am your host, Jason Bahamundi, and I'm going to be joined by a very special person and a dear friend of mine, Val Porter, here in a second. We're going to talk about women runners, women who are mothers who are running, leading strong communities, showing their kids what it means to be a strong athlete and leading by example. Before we get there, you know I got to do this, folks. Please subscribe, rate, review, and comment, especially if you're on Spotify or YouTube. Because, yeah, while it does help us get through the algorithm on those platforms, I want to hear from you. I want to know what you think. I want to know your thoughts on the conversation that we were having. What part touched you the most? What part made you angry? Let us know, because here's the thing. I want a 5-star review from you. And the only way I can do that is to make sure that I'm getting you the show that you want to listen to. So if we've done something to not earn 5 stars, email me, jason@runtrymag.com. Anybody who knows me knows that I am very responsive and will do everything I can to make sure that this show is the one that you put at the top of your list for listening to. So enough rambling from me, because I'm sure you guys don't want to hear me talk. You want me to bring Val on. So let's do that and let's have a great conversation. My friend, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I am fantastic. I know it's only been a couple of weeks, but it's been way too long since we were in person together.
I know. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to come to California. When you're back in California, because you guys are always somewhere fun, but too long. It's too long already.
I will say this, I don't know that I had expectations for the community in Pittsburgh that you have created there with all of the amazing people. But I was overwhelmed with the positivity and the love that every one of those people that we met shared with us. Like, seriously, how did you find all these amazing people?
Honestly, I don't even know. It's some of them I've found just through being out and running, and you meet someone while you're running and they're like, "Oh my gosh," and you connect. Um, some of them it was through like a coaching program or like a training group. Um, I guess realistically, though, I do know a lot of it was through Instagram. So much of it was through social media. I started posting because I was just sharing my dumb journey as a below mid running mom who was trying to lose weight and trying to figure out balance in my life and trying to come, I had to not come back from the dead, but come back from the dead. My dad died. So I was just trying to find all
Yeah.
the things to navigate. And I was just started sharing. And somehow that's become this community. I don't know.
So I think you just hit the nail on the head, though, right? It's authenticity. When I met you online, here was Val, and here's this persona, and here's who she is. And then I got to meet you in person, and it's the same exact person. It wasn't like somebody different in real life compared to what we saw online. And I think that authenticity is what attracts people to you. And you could blush, you could say no, you could do all the things you want. I'm telling you flat out, that's exactly what it is. Like, you are just authentic. This is who you are. This is what I'm going to do. Feel free to come along. And if you don't want to come along, that's cool too, right? I feel like that's what your mindset is.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm here for a long time and a good time. And if you don't
Yeah.
want to be a part of either, that's okay. Respectfully, you do your thing. But I'm not going if it's not fun. So if you like to have fun,
Val is your girl. Trust me when I tell you that. Val is your girl. I mean, we talked about it on Food Fight Friday. She was snorting Fun Dip back in the as a kid.
don't act like you've never tried it. There are so many people who I guarantee you have tried it and won't admit it. So
I, I don't know if you remember Adam and my reaction when you said that, but it was like utter disbelief. Like, what did she just say?
you get what you get with me. I'm sorry.
It was great. And then that's exactly right. You get what you get. So let's give the people some background. Like, how did you get into running? How did you find this sport? And what has led you to keep doing it for as long as you've been doing it?
I got into running initially. My dad was in the Marines. We lived on Okinawa, Japan, and we had neighbors who this gentleman would get up in the morning and his two daughters, they would go run. And I was like 5, 6 years old, but I was like, I want to go. I want to go. They were friends. They were similar ages. So we started getting up in the morning and we would go run. Uh, and but we were always active. It wasn't just running. I would rollerblade to school. I would ride my bike to school. We lived within walking distance from the beach. So when it was a nice day, we were on the beach and we were swimming till I had an incident, and we will talk about that another day. But like we were always doing something. My dad was a big advocate of that, being outside, being active. So we were always doing that. And as I grew up and we moved to other places, we moved back to the States, and he retired. We came to Pennsylvania. My aunt had horses, and we would ride horses and go-karts and quads. And we were just always doing something. So as I got older, as a lot of us do, not most of us, but a lot of us start to become sedentary. You get an office job, you're sitting at a desk, you're not doing as much. I would try to go to the gym here and there where I could, because I stayed active through high school. I did competitive cheer. I did a lot of things, volleyball, and I was always moving. I was never home. But again, as you transition to an adult, it's not as easy to, you don't get freedom to, oh yeah, I'm going to go play a volleyball game for 3 hours. You have
Right.
structure in your life. So like I said, I tried to keep up with the gym. And in probably 2011, I think I worked with a gentleman who ran marathons and half marathons, and it had always intrigued me. And I was like, I'm going to run this half marathon. And I was married, I think, or with someone I had been with for a long time at that point. And he was just kind of like, okay, because I had a tendency to have big ideas and big dreams and sometimes not follow through with them. Like I would brainstorm, and I didn't, whether other people would make me question enough about myself that I would doubt these dreams or my ability to do them, or I just was insecure enough to follow through, whatever it was. He was kind of like, my family was kind of like, and finally I was like, I'm doing this. I'm doing this. It actually came up in my Facebook memories the other day that it was my first Pittsburgh half marathon bib. It's
Did
where
you
I
know what a half marathon was at the time?
I mean, I knew it was 13 miles. And
Okay.
my buddy who ran marathons, I would run with him sometimes at lunch, and I would be dying and he would be fine. Now I know that was obviously not my zone 2 for 4 miles. But I could run 3 or 4 miles. And I was like, "Ah, if I can run 3 or 4 miles, I can run a half marathon."
Sure. Makes total sense.
Sure. 2011, I went and I did my first half marathon in Pittsburgh, and I showed up alone. I had no idea what I was doing. I did not know that all athletic shoes are not created equally as running shoes. I did not know that all athletic clothes are not created equally as running clothes. I was just clueless. I didn't know you needed to drink while you were running. I didn't know you needed to eat while you were running. I just knew I wanted to prove everyone wrong, and I went by myself and ran. And I felt like shit. And I wanted to die. And some lady, I sat down on a curb around mile 10, and some lady,
Okay.
older lady, came through, and she was like, "Girlfriend, get up. You're coming with me. We're finishing this." And I was like, "I can't. I'm done. I hate this. I don't even have any family and friends here. Nobody loves me."
She was like, I'm your auntie now.
Yeah. And she's like, "No, all of these people are here cheering for you." I was like, "They're not. They're holding signs for their moms and sisters, and I have nobody." And she kind of made me, during that next 3 miles, open my eyes and realize, yeah, maybe they were there for their people, but they were also there for all of us. They were
Yeah.
there because they wanted to see us get where we were going. And that just was such a special moment. And I don't remember that woman's name. Would have no clue how to ever find her again in life, but she was where she needed to be when I needed her to be there. So that kind of started a big, it
Do
was
you
that was the moment.
so do you think 15 years ago, like that was a spark to be who you are today? Because you are that woman who's going to pick up somebody sitting on the side of the road at mile 10
You're not
and
going to
help
make me
them out.
cry. I'm not
Yeah,
crying.
yeah. I just had a meeting yesterday with another organization, and I told them about, my interview style on podcasts, and I said I have two goals. One is to get somebody to say, that is a great question. I've never been asked that before. Or get them to be emotional. And sometimes that means crying, and that's okay too, because it means you're giving us who you are. And I think that's important. So do you think like 15 years ago, that was sort of like, you may not have known, like, I'm going to be this person, but it was sort of like the lighting of the fuse to that eventually led you to being this person?
I mean, I think I was always like a mothery kind of person. Growing up, when we would have parties and do things we should not have been doing as teenagers, I tried to make sure everybody got home safe, everybody got where they needed to
Okay.
go. I've always been the person who everyone comes to and talks to and confides in. So I think there was some piece of that there, and maybe she
Yeah.
unlocked a new avenue of it in that, because I think that's shaped a lot of my running journey moving forward. I forever want to repay that. I
Hmm.
forever, like you said, I want to be that woman on that race course for someone. I want to create the space where other people are also that person, where, yes, we're all out here and we're doing amazing things and big, incredible, scary dreams, but not that any one race is less important than the next. But I don't run races. I very rarely race. I don't race. I don't go do these things because I'm trying to get a PR. I could give a shit less. And I personally could not even tell you what my PR is on any given distance. I have no idea. But to me, the win, the PR, is knowing that I helped somebody else get there. Maybe they've never done it before. Now they've crossed that finish line. Maybe they wanted a PR and they wanted to go to sub 3. Okay, well, now I got you there. You've got that. That to me is the win. And I just want to create a space where other people are, stop being so focused on this. Like, we're so focused on this.
Yeah.
Like, this doesn't matter. When you die someday, it doesn't matter what any of this says. It matters what you feel. It matters what other people feel about you. Not that you should care what other people think, but like the people who care about you. It matters.
Correct.
It matters the stories other people are going to tell about you. And I just want my stories to be really great stories.
It's so interesting because for myself, I know two PRs: my marathon PR, which is 3:31, and my 100-mile PR, which is 19:11. That's it. Like, I don't know anything else. And the only reason why, I guess you could say I know my 250-mile PR because I'm not going to do that again.
Why not?
Well, it's so interestingly enough, you asked this question because I know you go to the Pittsburgh Marathon every year, and if you're not participating in it, you're cheering at it. So the question came up yesterday about would I do Cocodona again? And I said I wouldn't. And they said, well, why not? And I said, it's not because it's not an amazing experience. It's, for me, there's just so much out there in the world that I want to see. I want to go experience other events. And so it's not that I wouldn't do a 200 miler again. I just wouldn't do that one right now, right? Like, it's just not the thing for me. And I think it goes to your pointing at your watch, like, this doesn't matter. Because my feeling is that if I went to Cocodona, I would try to beat that 110 hours. And then I wouldn't enjoy the scenery that's all around me, right? Like, it's just it's beautiful, and I think that there is more to our running than the metrics that we see. How many miles did you run this year? How fast did you run them in? How whatever it is. I think the experience is what makes running what it is. And I'm going to compliment you to the high heavens throughout this entire conversation because the experience you brought to us in Pittsburgh was amazing, right? Like we got to hang out with you and the crew, and we had meals with Shane and you and the kids. Like, that is super awesome. And it didn't matter what the time at the marathon was. It didn't matter if I hit a goal or I didn't hit a goal because those experience and those memories were there. And so I want to rewind for a second and ask you this. Do you think that growing up in a military family is what also gave you that idea of responsibility so that you can help make these people's memories as grand as they are?
That's a really great question. I haven't been asked that before. I'm not sure. I think growing up in the military, although it gave me a big sense of community, because when you live somewhere like Okinawa and you have no family there, your family is hours and hours and hours of flights away from you. You really you have to build a community for yourself. And even when we lived in North Carolina, same thing. You have to build a community for yourself, and it becomes what you choose for yourself with it. I also think, though, because we moved around a lot through that, I became a bit of, and I've done a lot of therapy for these things, and I'm not perfect, and I probably still need therapy, but I became a yes man, and at times a perfectionist, and really hard on myself in places in life where I felt like I was never enough and I didn't fit in.
Yeah.
That was
Yep.
something I struggled with for a really long time, in all aspects. In my previous marriage, in many friendships growing up, I was just never enough. I never measured up. I wasn't the same as everyone else. And you go from living all over the world to this tiny sleepy town where these kids have grown up together and their parents all grew up together and their grandparents. there was just always, and I won't call it imposter syndrome. It was just simply, I never fit in. And so I think when I started to feel that I fit into this running community, I just, again, I want to make sure that everyone else knows that they fit in too. So I don't know, maybe some piece of that comes from being in a military family, and again, the community sense. I've just maybe always looked in my life for that community in other aspects of life, because I didn't always have family close. I never had family close. I never grew up around aunts or uncles or cousins until my dad retired. And I was, practically a teenager by that point. I didn't have that. So maybe.
I feel you on that because we moved around as when I was young. My parents moved around a few different times, and I I was like thrust into established communities. At 12, 13, 14 years old, these people had been hanging out with each other, playing little league, Pop Warner football, their whole lives together up until that point. And so, like, here's this stranger in a strange land. And so, like, trying to fit in, I understand that fully. And it's interesting. I wonder if you felt the same way. So when I got into running at 34. So I'd been living 34 years of trying to fit in, like trying to put this puzzle piece into a puzzle that didn't really uh, have the edges for me. I was like, I'm going to prove you wrong. And so, like, I poured myself into these sports because I was trying to prove other people wrong. In reality, I was trying to give myself worth through these sports. And as time has evolved, what I have found is my value as a human is in connecting with other humans and making their lives happier and better because it also helps me have a happier and better life regardless of what somebody might say. I mean, we were talking earlier about, the trolls online dropping comments and stuff like that. And look, if that's what you want to do, good luck to you. Have fun with it. But I would encourage you to go to therapy and check out your traumas so that you don't stop dropping those nasty comments on people's posts. Were you trying to prove anything to anybody or to yourself when you got into these sports, especially in 2011, as you were getting into that first half marathon? Was there something there beyond the challenge of I want to do this 13-mile run?
I mean, I definitely wanted to prove my ex and my family and all of these people around me who were like, oh, you're not going to do this. No, I am going to do this. And like I said, I didn't
Mhm.
train the right way, and it hurt, and it wasn't the best time, but it was the best time. And so then the next year rolled around and I was like, I'm going to do it again. And then they were a little less like, oh, no, you won't. They were like, oh, okay, have fun. And then the next year came around. I was like, I'm going to do it again. And they were like, all right, have a good time. And finally, one of my friends came with me, and it was on Cinco de Mayo. So she brought me a margarita for the finish line. That was super cool. Uh, so I think they started to get on board, but I ran through until 2015. I did the Kentucky Derby half marathon and the Pittsburgh Marathon back to back weekends, and I felt like poop, horse poop. It was bad. My knee felt like it was going to blow up. My hip felt like it was about to explode. I was pregnant with Fallon, who is now 10. God love Fallon. And I thought at that point, like, my running journey was over. And so then, I mommed hard for a few years because we had 4 babies in 5 years. And after we had Jordy, my dad had gotten sick. Well, my dad had gotten sick somewhere in the mix of that. And so I was taking care of him. I mean, he lived on his own, but he couldn't take himself to appointments. He couldn't go grocery shopping for himself. So I did a lot of his day to day stuff with him, which was great. It was nice to have that time with him. Uh, but when he passed away suddenly, I I'd had an off again, on again relationship with my dad. Some parts were really contentious, and so when things were good, and I was so glad at the end, because he could be a stubborn son of a bitch. Pardon my language, but oh my god, maybe that's where I get it from. But he, I think as a daughter, the oldest daughter, there's a lot to unpack there too. You want your dad's approval. You want that connection. And when he was gone, I think then I started to look for that approval from other men.
Mhm.
And there were men in the coaching group that I was in, and I wanted their approval. I wanted them to say that I was good enough, that I was good enough to be in this space. And they kind of did, but I think I had to be on a journey of my own to learn that I don't need their approval. I don't
Right.
need anybody's approval except for my own. I need to be proud of myself, because I'm not doing this, and I was for a minute. I'm not doing it now for anybody else but myself, to be a
Yep.
better wife, to be a better mom, to be a better friend, to be a better person. It's for me. And that was hard. It was hard to transition through all of that and figure out what really is the why here. Is the why that I want to be in better shape to not end up like my dad? Well, absolutely. Is the why that I want my kids to see a healthy and happy lifestyle as an adult? Well, absolutely. But more than any of that, the why is just that this makes me happy and I want to be happy. So sometimes I think you have to peel back some layers and figure out, like, well, maybe different phases have different whys, but really, like, what's the base of it all?
Yep.
Because that I don't think will ever change, but the layers to it all, I think that can.
Yeah, I'm a big believer, and anybody who's followed me on social media knows, like, one of my favorite words is perspective. Like, let's gain perspective. Let's zoom out. Why are we doing these things, and why are they happening? Because I agree with you. I think that circumstances around us change, but at the core, there is a piece of who we are that changes slightly with all of our experiences, but it doesn't change drastically with our experiences. I wanted to go back. So you started to be a mom in 2015, 2016, and you did all the things as being a parent as well as taking care of your dad. When did running start up again, or did it ever go away? I didn't catch that part.
I mean, it did for a while because I thought,
Okay.
after my body was broken, I was like, there's no way I can never run again. And I have like arthritis. I have no cartilage in my knees. I haven't had that since I was 18. So I knew that my body was always going to be on bought time. And I just thought, okay, well, this is my time. And then after we had Hallie, which she was born in 2019, I was like, all right, I am uncomfortable in my body. I need to get back into the gym. Well, then COVID happened.
Right.
And we had friends who were in the middle of trying to open a gym. How unfortunate is that? Well, they still kind of moved ahead, but they didn't. And I was able, thankfully, to go to their gym and there was nobody there, and to kind of start working out again and getting my body back into some sense of feeling like me again. And I felt better. I felt great. And then we got pregnant with Jordy, which, we wanted to have another baby. So we were very lucky, very blessed. And we had him. And I'm I didn't become like, I wasn't like this overweight, but I just didn't feel comfortable in my body again. And again,
Mhm.
4 babies, 5 years, that takes a toll on you. So I
Absolutely.
got back into the rhythm of the gym, and I found this body transformation challenge, and I lost 30 pounds in 8 weeks, which I don't recommend. That's not like the best way to do it, but I was doing it with a trainer. Somebody was helping me. They were looking at my nutrition. And that kind of respurred. That was in 2022. 2021, 2022. And that respurred like this. Okay, now this needs to be part of my lifestyle because my dad's family has a lot of history of serious, very serious health issues. And some of those can be mitigated by taking care of your body. So I was like, well, I'm going to run the Pittsburgh Half Marathon. And Shane's like, maybe a little bit too much too fast. Like, you just lost this 30 pounds. And he came along for the journey. He lost 20 pounds during that. So it was really, like a family overhaul. And I was like, no, I'm going to do it. And he was like, okay, I mean, whatever you need. And I thought, why don't you do it with me? And he was like, well, if I'm not chasing a ball, I'm not running. I'm okay. Listen to me. He is from Pittsburgh, and he is a Pittsburgher through and through. He is a Yunzer.
Yes.
Use his favorite word. And I said, you get to run past in the half marathon, you get to run past so many things that you see in the city. PNC Park, over all the bridges where you get the beautiful skyline in the background. I said, you can walk the whole thing, Shane. I think you should try it one time. And he said, okay. Well, and that was the end of that because he was obsessed and he's addicted. And now he just loves it, which is great. But yeah, it didn't really come back to me till 2022. So there was a break, but the fitness became more a part of my life. Like I said, my dad passed away at the end of 2021. So 2022, it really hit hard. Like, I've got to start taking care of my body now. I need my husband to take care of his body because his family has a lot of really even worse health issues. And we need to teach these kids what a healthy lifestyle looks like as an adult, period, to grow up with it so that it's part of who you are and you can grow into that and continue that as an adult.
So 2015, you go to a race, zero people there, don't know anybody, doing it on your own. Um, Family and friends were like, yeah, whatever, have fun, lady. 2022, Shane says, I support you, do the thing. He actually joins you at the race. When do the other members of the crew, Candace, Michelle, Ashley, Anna, Chris Cedar, like at what point does like Val's aid station start to become a thing?
Uh, Probably end 20. So I decided that 2022, no, 2023. Maybe my dad died in 2022. See, I don't remember. My kids have eaten my brains. But I decided I was going to run a full marathon after my dad died. He did die in
Okay.
2020. And I decided, he was a Marine. I said, I'm going to run the Marine Corps Marathon. If I'm going to run any marathon, I think it would be really cool, pay homage to him. It was almost 1 year to the day after he passed away. I was like, I'm
Oh
going to do this.
wow.
And Shane says, all right, I'm coming with you. And at that point, I had some friends who were runners and, who I'd met through the gym. And I was like, hey guys, I'm going to go to the Marine Corps Marathon. And I think there were
So
like
before you go, you make this statement. You don't say, "Is anybody here going to do the Marine Corps Marathon? Do we want to do?" You just make the statement, like, "I'm registering for the Marine Corps Marathon. Join me if you want."
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
And then by the time it was all said and done, I think we had like 10 of us who went down to Marine Corps Marathon that next year. So the network kind of started to build the community at that point at the end of 2022. And I think that was when I needed it the most. Like I said, my dad was gone and I was looking for, well, after a couple months of really struggling, I was just looking for anything.
Mhm.
And I traveled a lot for races. And without me knowing it, Val's aid station was starting. I had no idea what it was, but it was starting. And it was a joke because he ran like a 8.1, whatever, however many Ks that would be considered. He ran a race and I showed up. It was on his birthday. I brought cupcakes and I brought margaritas and ginger
Who's he?
ale and candy. And someone jokingly walked up to me. And I was standing like at a corner, a big corner where all the runners passed me multiple times. And they were like, what is this, Val's aid station? And that joke in March of 2023 became, like I said, I didn't know that that was going to be a thing, but I went to Muncie, Indiana, Ironman. I went to Ironman in Maryland. I went to Ironman in Ohio. I went to so many. Chris Cedar, I met him online and he was like, hey, do you want to come crew me at Oil Creek? And so I went to Oil Creek and I would bring all of this carload full of snacks and food and biofreeze, and it became, what started as a joke became this thing. So
You said he was running a 8K. Who's he? Shane?
sorry, Shane. Yes, it was for his
Okay,
birthday. hmm hmm
very cool.
Yeah.
So Shane has only himself to blame for the shenanigans that have been taking place since 2023.
Yes. And thankfully he supported it because I think that he saw that all of these
Yes.
things that I was doing, and I know this sounds silly to say, but it's true. They were bringing me back to life. They were
Yeah.
pouring life back into me when I just was, it was a really tough time. And he allowed me, not allowed me, but he encouraged
No,
me to
yeah.
follow all of this wherever it was
Yeah.
taking me.
It's interesting, right? Because I agree it's not the word allow, but it is in a sense because he didn't stifle it either, right?
Right.
Like he was supportive in this idea of you doing these things, which is phenomenal. So here's a question for you because I'm cut from the same cloth. Like people like, can you come crew me? Can you come pace me? And I'm like, yep. What time and where? Just let me know. How do you draw the line? And before you answer, I'm going to give you the reason why I'm asking this question. Last week, I received a DM from Allison O'Reilly, who is a visually impaired athlete, and she's in the Everyday Athlete Clubhouse. She set the course record at Vermont 100 last year for visually impaired athletes. And she's like, hey, what are you doing for Vermont 100 weekend this year? Do you want to pace me? And I was like, when is it? And it turns out it's July 18th. And unfortunately, we're racing the San Francisco Marathon on July 25th. So, but it took me a moment after I like tried to calculate the logistics in my brain of flying to Vermont and turning around and flying to San Francisco um, to say no. I was like, I can't do it. But put me on the list for 2027. I will block out that weekend and I'll be happy to do it. So how do you like? It's hard to say no, isn't it?
Yeah. That's again, as a former people pleaser, yes man, I've really only come into that in the last 2 years. And I will thank, some of the people who are in our community now for giving me more space to do that because I've watched them do that. Like Michelle was a former people pleaser. and Candace is very strong-willed about things that she picks and chooses now. And I've been able to lean more into saying no where I need to, because the kids are getting busier and the activities with them are just becoming more and more and more. And at some point something has to give, right? Because it used to be to the point where I would overextend myself, and I was in Muncie, Indiana cheering, but also trying to get my 15-mile run in for my long run that weekend. Like
Right.
it's tough, but doable. So I think now my question when something like that happens is, well, where is it? Because whether I like it or not, if it's not within driving distance, if I'm going to have to fly, like it just, I have little people who I'm home during the day with one of them still. So then that becomes an issue of, well, how long am I going to be gone? Because if it's during a school day, I don't have free reign babysitters like some people do. I don't have a bunch of family who can just pop in. And while, yes, I have a great community of friends, a lot of them live on the other side of Pittsburgh, which is not far, but 50 minutes is still far. So there's a couple things, what else is going on? Do the kids have any events? Because I do still believe that while it's important for you, like when you get married and you have kids, if you have kids, a lot of people be like, oh, my kids are number one. My kids are number one. No, your kids are not number one. What's number one is you. Because if you are not okay, everything else that trickles down is surface level. So you need to be okay. And then if you have a partner, you and your partner need to be okay. Because everything else is built, well, maybe we can go up, is built off of that base. And if this isn't solid, I relate it to pirate ships. Like if you're the captain of the ship and you as the captain don't know where you're going, don't know what's happening, aren't okay, are sleep deprived, are hungry, haven't eaten in days, are not taking care of yourself, then the rest of the ship is mutiny. Like people are getting thrown overboard and we're going down. We just hit a rock. We're yelling timber. Like there's you have to
yelling timber.
Right. So, there's a lot of revolving pieces for me now where I have to make sure, okay, well, are the kids going to be okay? Is this during the school year? Next year will change things because everybody will be in school. So depending on how I'm able to work my work schedule out, there may be some room for more things. But right now, if it's more than like a 2-hour drive away, I have a friend who asked me to come crew her this summer somewhere, and it was, maybe it was somewhere it's somewhere west. I don't know if it's Vermont. It'd be kind of funny if it's the same place, but
Vermont is east.
Yeah. Well, for me. Oh yeah, no, never mind. Colorado.
It still is.
Colorado. Like I said, I don't have any brain anymore. Hers was Colorado. And I was thinking Vail. Don't ask. Yeah,
that works. That fits.
It's not. I can't just get on a flight anytime I want. I have a lot of things. So if there's a flight involved, that's going to be a hard press. Where am I at in my training block? Because that still matters. Like Oil Creek will be in October, and Chris is aiming for 100 miles this year. And he asked if he can't find anyone, can I pace him? Well, yes, while I'll be in peak mileage for Marine Corps, I also don't want to pace a 50K in the middle of the night at Oil Creek. So I said, maybe I'll pace you 25K if we can find someone else to do half a loop. I've found ways to still say yes, but make sure it's within my own box of boundaries. And that's thankfully been working better. I try not to say no, because it's not necessarily a no. It's, I'd love to, maybe not right now, or I can't make it work like that, but I can make it work like this.
My mentor in sales calls, what he taught me was your answer should always be yes, but, right? Like I can do that, but here's how it has to get done, kind of thing. And so it helps people to understand that you have boundaries, that there are limits to what you're capable of doing and helping them with. And I just think that makes all the sense in the world, so that you're also not losing yourself in that same realm. I have two questions. One is very simple. If you didn't live in Pittsburgh, would you have used a pirate ship analogy?
Yes, 100%. Because where else can you get a pirate mutiny? It doesn't play the same as like, a jailbreak. It's not quite the same. You get a better visual with a pirate ship, kids going overboard, food fights flying everywhere, cannonballs rolling across the deck. That's a whole
perfect
visual.
It's perfect. Here, the more serious question, because you're describing the community with Michelle and Candace and this core group of runners and women that you are with, and it made me think about the new person, right? Because at one point you're moving around to all these communities and you were the new person, and how do you fit in? How does somebody who's just getting into running or just finds you guys, like, how do you make them feel like they have been a part of the crew for forever and not sort of like on the outside looking in?
We forced them to do a dance party.
Which, by the way, I'm surprised it took us 35 minutes to sing a song on this podcast, right? Like, that's ridiculous.
There
But go
was
ahead.
intention with that. There was intention with that. But no, I mean, I think that we just, I, and it's hard because I'm sure, things you don't want things to ever be clicky, especially in the running community. And my goal is always for it to not feel like that. But I'm sure there are still times because now we have this group of people who knows each other. We know each other well. So when we get together, we're going to be like, oh, well, how was, you know, oh, Rennie, you just took Rennie for a run last week. How did she do on her run? Or, you just got back from vacation. So yeah, we have these
Right.
relationships, these pre-existing relationships. And I'm sure that there are times when someone new comes in that they're like, I don't fit into this. I don't have any idea. So I try to make sure that everyone says hello, that everyone gives their names. And I always say, just so you know, you won't remember everyone's names because I sometimes don't remember my own name. So that's fine. But like I said, I try to do something silly or something. I guess you would call that an icebreaker in the corporate world.
Right.
Something icebreaker ish to get everyone kind of like loosened up and laughing and smiling. Dance party tends to be it because people just, when they see you acting silly, sometimes
Yes.
their guard
100%.
comes down a little bit and then they will be silly a little bit too. And you see a little bit more personality shine in that moment. And sometimes they're a little less nervous about like, oh, I'm nervous, I'm shy. Well, now we're all being goofy idiots. So like,
Right.
come on and see and be a part of that with us.
Yeah, it is. It's really amazing that being goofy and silly and dancing is an absolute icebreaker for people because no matter, oh, I shouldn't say no matter, but virtually anybody you talk to is going to say, I'm not a good dancer. And
Right.
it's like,
Well, neither am
we're
I.
all right. Like, but at the same time, we're all good dancers because we're all doing the same thing. Like, we're just out here letting the music move us and having fun and smiling and laughing. Right. Like we do the we finish we dance thing and we've hosted dance classes, and it's because I want people to understand, like, we're just here to have fun. We're here to have a good time. We're here to laugh and goof off, and we're going to do hard things. We're going to go run half marathons and 50Ks and all the other things, but like, we want to do it while we're having fun and enjoy ourselves. And so I want to use that as sort of a segue to your kids who participate in sports, because it's one thing for you as an adult to be like, I'm setting the example for myself. This is, I don't care what other people think. I'm going to do my thing, and it is what it is. It's a completely different thing for young kids because that peer pressure is huge because they're amongst their peers 4, 5, 6, 8 hours a day. They're participating in these events with them. How do you set the example with your kids that doing well is just as important as having fun, and having fun is just as important as doing well?
See, and that's also an excellent question because Fallon, again, she's 10 and distance is not her thing. She'll tell you that now. And I'm hopeful that maybe someday as she gets older, that will change because not that you ever want to comment on anybody's body type, she is built like a runner. She has legs like a runner. She's got a really strong core. And when she runs, she's just one of those people that you're like, oh my gosh, she's got great form. Like, she's built like a runner. She looks like a runner, but she doesn't like distance. And she's the perfect example because our school, where they go, we are so grateful that they have CYO sports through the Catholic Youth Organization, where they are able to start track and cross country in kindergarten. That's not normal. At least in this area, that's not something that you normally get within the public school sector. So I'm super grateful for that opportunity for them because I'm hoping that it's building a love for running like I was in kindergarten when I started, and that they can carry that through their life. But for at third grade, you go from running a mile to a mile and a half, and she does not like it. She is not a fan. She hates it. And so the trade-off with her has become, you like practices, right? Well, yes. Okay. Your friends are there, so you enjoy that, right? Yes. Okay. You like going to the meets and hanging out with your friends at the meets, right? Well, yes. Okay. She's also a competition, like she's a competitive dancer. So there's a reason that you are as strong as you are and you can throw some of these tricks that you do and you have this incredible core strength. That's because you run almost year round. You run. So and also you get into these hip hop classes and the girls are like, at the end of it, everybody wants to die. I mean, I want to die watching them. But I said, there's a reason that you just need like 30 seconds and a drink of water and you can keep going. You have an incredible athletic base. So you're going to run cross country. And I hate being that person who tells her she has to, but I'm like, here's the trade off. We have 4 meets. Pick one, whatever one you don't want to go to. You still have to come, but you don't have to compete. So there's a course she hates. And so that's usually the one that now she picks. And I just reiterate, I don't care if you're the last kid coming in. I just want you to run. Whatever running feels like for you that day, run. Now I'm also like kind of being a hypocrite because while she's out there, we're like, go, Fallon, go. Because again, she has it in her, but I can't force that out of her. And I
Right.
can't want that more than she wants that. So I just try to build a space for her because I would be the biggest hypocrite if I'm like, I need you to just run fast and not care about anything else but running fast. Well, no, I'm the number one person out here like fun, fun, fun. So
Right.
I need this to be fun for her. So I bring bows for hairs if we need bows. And like we just had track championships and her and all of her friends who normally are too, they're in 4th grade. They're too cool for bows now. They all were like, yes, give us bows. So that was a cool thing. My Hallie, who's in 1st grade, all of her friends, the kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd graders, they always want all the glitter. So I bring glitter and I put glitter on them. Before any track or cross country meet, I bring candy and I'm like, all right. And I call them magic beans. I brought jelly beans and I'm like, who
Yeah.
needs magic beans? So yes, it's a little bit of sugar, it gives them a little zing, but I'm kind of giving them, I guess we could call that a placebo effect. Like, here's your magic beans. You're
Right.
going to do amazing today. Like, use these and these are your magic and harness that. So I try to make sure that there's fun coming into it.
Mm-hmm.
The best that I can, like I said, within the limits of knowing, like, I don't want to create an unhealthy relationship with this because I don't want my kids to get to middle school or high school or even, being an adult and then being like, oh my God, I'm never running again in my life. I hate this. This is the worst
Right.
thing my parents ever
Yeah.
made me do. Like when there's local 5Ks and things and we go, Benny always wants to run a 5K. He's 9. He's always up for it. Give him a 5K. He loves it. Hallie, who is 6, 50% of the time, yes, I'm in for the 5K. Jordy, who's 4, probably 40 or 50% of the time, in for the 5K. Fallon, so I don't push it, I don't push it. And that's fine because guess what? I don't like 5Ks either. So if there's a mile race, I'll usually ask, are you okay running a mile? You can run as slow or as fast as you want. And sometimes she says yes, and that's great. So she'll run. And then sometimes she says no. And if she really doesn't want to, then I make plans accordingly. Thankfully, she knows a lot of people in the running community. So if she doesn't want to run, there's usually somewhere I can post her up with a friend or someone else that we know, and she can wait for everybody. But we try to let them lead still, so it's fun.
You said you don't like 5Ks. What's your favorite distance to run?
Half marathon. I love a half marathon.
Why?
I think it's just, I mean, I'm not warmed up until 2 or 3 miles in. So I don't want to run a 5K because I don't go all out for anything. So, well, I don't. I mean, I
That's
don't.
not true. You go all out for your friends, lady. I don't.
I mean, I will pace them. I do pace them. I do a lot of pacing. So I love that because that's time that I can spend being encouraging with people during them. But besides that, I would never choose to run a 5K. It's not, I'm warmed up. Now I'm done. No, I would just want to keep running. But with a half marathon, I think that there's a solid beginning, the 5K where you're warming up. There's a solid middle where you feel good and you're moving and you're grooving and you're having fun. There's usually a piece of it where you're like, why did I do this? And I like that feeling because having that feeling somewhere in there reminds me you can do hard things. Like,
Yeah.
even though you're used to this, even though your body knows it can do it, there's still some piece that's right. I can do this. I can do hard things. And then there's the finish. So I just, and for me, the half marathon is just enough time. It's like 3 hours. I know for some people that's a marathon, but it's just enough time to have a good day, have a break from the kids, focus on myself for a little bit, spend some time with friends and appreciate the surroundings. Okay, well, now I'm done. Now I'm ready for some food. We can move on.
Yeah. And if it's at the Pittsburgh Festival, you're back out there on the course rooting all the people in who are coming in. in that 4, 5, 6 up to 7 hour range. So, your full day is out there as well. It's not like you're ass down, feet up. You're out there cheering and dancing and passing out oranges and candy along the way too, which
Heck yeah.
requires energy.
I think I got 50,000 steps today at the Pittsburgh Marathon.
This is what's wild. I took 52,000 steps to run the marathon that day. And I just happened to know that because I looked the other day at the number of steps I took at the marathon. So you did, by all intents and purposes, run a marathon because you took 50,000 steps, and I took 52,000 to reach the finish line. And I have a long stride. So for a 5'6" dude, I have a long stride. So how do you, because we talked about your kids and making sure that it's fun for them. Shane is a competitive person, and he's got a big goal of running under 3 hours at the marathon distance. I know that an Ironman is something that he's eyeing for the future. Keeping it fun for the kids is one thing. How do you keep it fun for Shane while he's pushing his limits to the limits that he's pushing them to? Because here's the thing. I've had this conversation with many people. If you're a 4.5 hour marathoner, getting down to 4:20 is not the same as going from 3:03 to 2:58. Like that time difference, because the fitness gains at that level that you're at 2:58 to 3 hours, like the fitness gains are really, really difficult to get to. They're a little bit easier when we're at 4.5 hours to get down to 4:25, let's say. So, like, how do you keep it fun for him so that he can continue to pursue these goals and chase these dreams?
I just try to remind him this is not our job. This is not a job. It should not feel like a job. And obviously, because he's trying to push it to another level, there are absolutely days I think where it is more intense and job-esque for him, because who gets up on a Tuesday morning and runs 10 miles of speed work? That's not normal. And then goes and does another 10 miles of speed work on a Thursday or something. Like the pounding on his body, and not just his body, but mentally,
Yeah.
that's a lot. And that means a lot of mornings with him getting up at 3:30 in the morning when it's still dark and maybe it's raining and he's got to go run because he's got to be out of the house by 6 a.m. to go to work. It's not a normal schedule. He doesn't work from home where he can just go do his runs whenever he wants to. And then he's got an intense job where he's either, he's an electrician. They're in houses with no heating yet in the winter. So if it's -11, he feels every bit of that. If it's 95 degrees and they're doing a new build in that house, it's probably hotter than 95 degrees, and he's on his feet, he's crawling through crawl spaces. So what he does is very physically intensive. I try to remind him that all that time during the day still counts for you as time on feet. Maybe not exactly the same, but that still counts as time on feet. At the same time, if you need to miss a workout here or there, there's grace for that, but also with what you're trying to do, there's not. And I hate to be that kind of person because I feel like that's not usually my MO. My MO is if you need to miss something, no fitness is lost in 2 workouts, But again, for him, it's not quite the same because that fitness that you're talking about, that's not the same as me running a 6 to 6.5 hour marathon. It's just not, respectfully. And I know that. So I try to, on the days where he feels broken down or tired, say, okay, well, if you need to sleep in, then you need to sleep in. And you're going to have to go run after work. And then he'll be like, well, no, we've got this going on with the kids. I mean, it doesn't matter. I can get the kids where the kids need to be. We'll figure it out. If somebody has to sit at dance for an extra 20 minutes, when they're not dancing because there's other kids there to hang out, that's fine. If somebody needs to, wait at track when, because sometimes track finishes early. So for some of the kids when they're younger, so you can sit around for 15 extra minutes. There's other kids, you can play with them. They'll be fine. Because guess what? They know that dad is doing what dad needs to do so dad can work towards his goal. Because again, as parents, our goals shouldn't die. And I don't want our kids to think that your goals die when you have children. They don't. If anything, I want them to see that we still have these goals because I want them to feel like they can chase goals in their 30s, in their 40s, in their 50s. Like this doesn't stop. So I use that as a big reminder for him, which really isn't as much fun. But then I try to make sure that like we have things like oranges and Coke. So when he does his run, he usually loops around the house. It's like a 10-mile loop he's built, and he's got orange slices in there, so that's a little I know he likes that. And crispy Coke, get some crispy Coke, brings you back to life. He was doing a really oh God, it was really, really warm. I feel bad. Not before you guys got here. It was really warm one week. And he was out doing his long run in the middle of the day because I had done mine in the morning. And so the kids and I found him. Like I GPS trackered him, and we found him and drove by, and we're handing him
I
cold
love
water
it.
and Coca-Cola out the car window, just, as like a little pick me up. Or if I know he's going to be looping around the house, I'll bring the kids out and we cheer him on, because he got burnt out. He got burnt out by the end of last year, I think it was. Um, and I said, 2 marathons in a year is a lot. 3 marathons in a year is a lot. And again, this needs to be fun. And sometimes you need to take a break for a little bit. And it doesn't, yes, you're going to lose that some level of fitness, but like you were here, you know what it takes to get back to there. Like, have some fun. So he did that this winter, and I'm glad that he listened, because he doesn't always listen. But I think he learned the hard way. He was fried, and he needed a break. So he took one, thankfully. And now he's feeling ready and ready to lock back in. And so again, we'll go outside and we'll cheer for him while he's on his loop, or we will find him and
Hey, bud.
we will find him, and we'll try to do our best to just make sure that he knows that we're always in his corner. We want this just as much for him as I think he wants it. So
Yeah, I think it's important because he's also setting an example for the kids, right? Where if he's not having fun with it, they'll see that, and because when you're not having fun with something, you become grumpy, and you have 4 kids that are around you, and they're going to see that. So it's important that he continues to maintain that happiness and that fun with his pursuits for his goals as well. We're bumping up on time here. And so I want to ask a couple of questions that come back to some of our other shows. So we have a show called What's in Your Earbuds. We just recently did a show that'll come out the day before this one, actually. And it was songs from our college years. Um, do you have songs from memory that you would have listened to during what might have been your college years that you are like, I still love this song? Yes, this is a great question because that looks like an embarrassed face.
Magic Stick by 50 Cent will never get old. It just will never get old. That is a great song forever and ever and ever.
It's a great song. It's right.
It's terrible. Like I usually tend to listen to the music and the beat of a song. I don't always pay
Same.
attention to the lyrics. So I think for all that time, I don't know if I was too drunk or just young and didn't care, but like I listened to the lyrics of that, a year or two ago, and I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
really inappropriate.
I am
That's
52
so
years
good.
old. I'm 52 years old, so I was listening to music in the mid 80s and into the early 90s as a young teenager graduating high school and college. And like recently I started actually listening to the lyrics, and I'm like, what parent let their kids listen to this music back then? Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, color me bad. I want to blank you up. And I was like,
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. There was I had a lot more inappropriate songs, I think, during my high school years. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean. But no, that for sure. Magic Stick, and then Hips Don't Lie by Shakira. That comes on, and I think I'm Shakira. I'm dancing in a club in Colombia, and I'm
I love it. It's fantastic. That's the way it should be, though, right?
yeah.
Like, we should enjoy ourselves and let people know that you too can enjoy yourself. Like, you can be a goofball along with us. Our other show is Food Fight Friday that you were a guest on. So I won't ask you a question like in that scenario, but you are getting ready for a race. What is the meal you're eating 2 days before or the day before? Like, what is the one meal that you always rely upon? Or food? It doesn't have to be a meal, I guess.
Um. Oh gosh. I mean, there's so many things because I just love. I have to have donuts. I have to
Okay.
have donuts because a donut is just a quick and easy. Like I could slam 3 donuts in one sitting and not think twice about it. Try not to, but I love a good donut, so I need a good donut.
All right, I need to go into depth on that. What type of donut? Boston cream, raspberry filled, old fashioned, powdered,
I
glazed?
try to make it simple because it's hard for them to screw up. I try to just stick with a plain old chocolate frosted donut, just a regular donut, just chocolate frosting. It's hard to screw that up. I don't need sprinkles. Now if I want to get real like fancy, then what's the one with the pudding? Is that Boston cream?
Yes, with the
Yes,
chocolate
then
top.
if we're gonna get fancy, I do love a Boston cream. I need a Boston
Yeah.
cream just to keep it simple, just a plain regular chocolate frosted donut because an extra one of those per day is like a good, a good extra number of carbs. But like a good mac and cheese, I need a solid mac and cheese that I can rely on, for like the 2 days while I'm trying to add in those extra carbs.
So are we talking craft boxed or
No,
homemade?
no. I mean, I would love to say homemade, but we're so busy and
Yeah.
meal prepping sometimes takes a backseat to that. But like the Bob Evans mac and cheese, the Montreal mac and cheese, it's not bad. The Panera mac and cheese. Yes. So, But then also like there's local places you can get a good, locally made mac and cheese.
Do you know my secret when it comes to mac and cheese?
If you tell me that you put sugar in yours, I'm gonna die because I used to do that all the time when I was in college.
No, I've never had mac and cheese my entire life. Not once. Not one spoonful, not one bite, nothing. Zero.
I feel like I
Yeah.
know that, and that makes me so sad for you. You just don't know what you're missing.
Nope, I don't. But at this point in life, it's more of a calling card because people's reactions are like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah.
And I'm
You can
like,
put it on
"Yeah,
your grave someday. Never had mac and
yeah,
cheese.
I would love that." Like, of all the things that I will have accomplished by whatever day I die, that would probably be one of the best things.
Here lies Jason, always up for a dance party, never ate mac and cheese.
Yeah, you could see the tombstone with just boxes of craft as people come to say, extend their well wishes or whatever, your condolences, I guess. Some people might say well wishes. Nobody gets through life without an enemy. That's for damn sure.
Listen, that's how you've made it. You know you made it.
That's exactly right. Val, thank you so much for joining me. This has been a blast. I will tell you, like, Jordy, we're not leaving yet, bud. The fact is that I've always counted you as through the little box on Instagram, but that got heightened when we got to hang out with you and Shane and the crew in Pittsburgh. You treat people the right way, strangers in a strange land, and you invited us into your home and made us feel like family, and we will never forget that. And I will never forget that you showed up to Lori's dissertation defense, and that meant the world to me to have somebody from our online family show up and be there for her in a moment where she was defending her dissertation. So thank
You
you for
mean
doing it.
Dr. Lori?
Yes, Dr. Lori CPA. I love it. It makes me so happy. You have no idea. Like, it's just so cool. But
I love
thank
it.
you so much. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate your tiny little family there for welcoming us in and actually breaking bread with us and having some laughs. I thank you so much.
We love you guys so much.
I'll see you soon.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, folks, you hung around for an hour. Thank you so much for doing so. Drop it in the comments. Answer the questions I asked Val. What song from your would have been college years is still ringing in your ears today? What's the food that you love to eat a day or two before a race? Put them in the comments. Would love to see that grow as we have more and more conversations. Don't forget, come back again 1 week from today when we have our next Fireside Chat. Pardon me, I almost forgot what show I'm on. And we will have guest Vanessa Klein from Beast Coast Pacing joining me and talking about putting on races out there in the Philadelphia area as well as all across the country. Appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Have a great one, everybody. We'll see you next week.